Shaping the post-crisis world. That was the ambitious title of the World Economic Forum's 2009 meeting in the Alpine ski resort of Davos. Participants all agreed this has to be the gloomiest meeting in the forum's history. But many offered only predictable solutions.
It's important because not just to have a debate about values, but I think to get leaders around the table focused on also what are the institutions that underpin the values we say are important.
But amid all the hand-wringing in the Alps, the world's power elite seemed reluctant to face head-on perhaps the most critical post-crisis question: what would be the shape of future global policy making? Some clue as to what it may look like was given last November 15th in Washington, when then-President Bush, under pressure from French President Sarkozy and others, assembled the so-called G20 in Washington. China, India, Brazil, Saudi Arabia and others joined the traditional G7 rich man's club.
G7 plus G8, including Russia, they are still very important. Capital is there, technology is there. Nobody says they are not important, but they don't represent the world. And definitely not the populations of the world, and definitely not the poorer people in the world.
India's Rahul Bajaj was not alone in calling for the G20 to replace the G8.
The scale of problems we are facing today requires a global coordination and cooperation. And I think the G8 or G7 would not be wide enough to have all the players into one table. And I think a G20 or even a wider grouping would be more practical.
60% of the world's GDP was from the G6. Today, it's 40%. The effectiveness of any group of people meeting together diminishes in inverse proportion to the number of people who are there. So you've got 20 countries, whereas it might have been difficult to get 6 to agree, more difficult to get 8 to agree. Whether you're going to manage to get 20 to all pull in a direction they've agreed on is tough, but you probably need them there, so you've just got to work through that.
So the G7's days may be numbered. By some argued that while the G20 may be the answer, true global power will eventually be split between the one nation that has trillions of dollars of capital to spend, China, and the other nation that is racking up trillions of dollars of debt, the United States.
The G20 is an important forum because it really does bring in important players. I'm thinking the Latin American countries, Brazil, even Middle East, Saudi Arabia. But it's a fairly unwieldy body and everybody knows where the power lies, US and China. So in a sense, G2 is more important than G20.